We want to help destroy the human race, but you guys are doing a pretty bang-up job yourselves. From Reddit user AP Royale.
Loosely translated in English from the Zargonian language, Zarga.
Zelphine was late for the monthly debriefing. His particles materialized inside the cabin of the ship, fading in and colliding together in the blink of an eye. This job was weighing heavy on Zelphine. It had been for years. It was taxing trying to be someone else, something else, for as long as he had. Saggy bags hung under his four eyes like dark pillows he wished he could use. There was no time to sleep. Not after this recent setback. The mission was teetering now, and he needed to deliver. It was devastating to have been so close, to have squandered an opportunity. He would have been home by now, a king, hell, a god, back in Zargon. But this latest setback meant another 4 years, at best. And that's assuming he wasn't vaporized before then. He had witnessed them murder one of his peers for less. Much less. Zelphine walked into a changing room and peered out the window. He was admiring the view as he removed his earthling clothing. Earth was a stunning display of cloudy whites, sandy browns, and azure blues. From this view, he felt it was the most beautiful planet in the galaxy. However, the day-to-day things he witnessed there, on that planet, were another story. Running through the talking points in his head, he quickly made his way to the boardroom. Deep breath in. Here goes nothing. The usual panel was already there, sitting patiently. Zelphine approached the table. Sorry I'm late, everyone. It was the earliest I could get away. No need to apologize, Zelphine. We understand the difficulties of dealing with these people. Welcome. Have a seat. Our leader, Falza, motioned across the table. These were some of the most respected, brilliant minds that our species had ever produced. They were harder to read as of late. But the fact that he was still around meant something, he figured. I'd like to start off by saying, we still believe in you, Falza continued. You have been the most successful recruit we've ever had. Definitely in my time of taking over this operation. No other current implant even comes close. This was the reassurance Zelphine desperately needed. The tension in his tentacles began to ease. The elephant in the room, left in the corner for months, had finally been addressed. Thank you, Falza. I appreciate the recognition. No problem. Shall we start with you, Graga? He motioned to Graga, the head of Zargon Relations. It is generally positive feedback from home. You remain the most popular, the most adored person to watch. Those words made Zelphine feel warm inside. He couldn't hold back the subtle smile emerging on his face. Now, saying that, there can be improvements. Viewership has obviously declined this month. Has been on a steady decline since January. He scratched his chin with one of his tentacles. You know how the Zargonians are, Zelphine. They love drama. They love theater. So, any suggestions? Zelphine asked. Given the recent constraints, he had learned over the years that improvising was a bad idea. They want to see more violence, Zelphine. More fear, more unrest, more stirring of the pot. Zelphine bit his tongue in frustration. I want this too, Graga. I honestly do. He looked around at the panel. But how do you expect me to do this, given all of the looming concerns? He nodded his head. Yes, I understand the challenges you currently face. It is no easy task, that's for sure. There is a lot of risk right now. I do know there has been improvements on certain fronts. A website was launched to keep the communication flowing. I think that is a good segue for you, Licia. Licia was the expert in human communications and culture, a confident member of the panel. She had personal experience as an implant on Earth, so Zelphine trusted her opinion. Yes, I can confirm that this has been completed. The focus looks to be on a network of communication, one which we can control the narrative without any interference. I, for one, am incredibly excited by this. I think it bodes well. She paused, gently tapping her tentacles on the table. Amongst the humans, you remain both influential and polarizing across the planet. She grinned. That is powerful, Zelphine. I hope you recognize this. I nodded. My suggestions this month are for you to keep up the communication through the limited channels that we now have. This is tough, Zelphine. There is a lot of risk, as Graga mentioned. You are still under a microscope. You likely will always be under a microscope. Despite this, you have managed to toe the line as best you could, while still remaining provocative. Just remember, the communication style, simple words and repetition. The demeanor, I think you have nailed. It's grandiose, it's utter confidence. Remember that. You have to believe every word you speak, or the people will not believe you. So no major change? No. Not from my end, Zelphine. Keep doing what you have been doing. She winked, turning to her left. Exio, anything else you would like to add? Zelphine was overwhelmed by all this positive feedback. A couple of months ago, he was almost in tears. The frustration amongst the group was palpable. He wondered what had changed. It definitely wasn't related to any of the developments on Earth.
My only suggestion for you is to try to put on a few more pounds,
responded Exio, the head researcher of the human condition.
You look rather skinny compared to last month. Is this due to stress?
He looked at his saggy, underdeveloped tentacles. The gravity on Earth did a number on the Zargonian figure. He shrugged it off as being part of the sacrifice. No. It's just the food. It's incredibly bland and unsatisfying. Then there's the whole excrement process. I find it rather disgusting, Zelphine complained.
Years of this and you're not used to it yet?
Exio rudely shook her head.
Force it, Zelphine. He is a chubby man. You need to remain undetected.
Okay, I will work on this, he promised, looking around the room. Anything else?
Remember the color of the skin, the hair follicles. This month, like I said, I could notice some inconsistencies.
Zelphine sighed. Okay, I will try my best. Anything else? There was silence. Well, if there's nothing else from us, how about from you, Zelphine? Any questions or concerns? Falza asked. Zelphine contemplated requesting a vacation home He couldn't even remember what his father and mother looked like anymore. It had been so long. So much time had passed, much longer than he expected. He tried to frame his response as delicately as possible. Has the panel considered taking over the replacement? We have. Falza paused. Exio thoroughly examined him, actually. His life expectancy is quite slim. Exio added,
Plus, in his own way, he will likely do irreparable damage as well. Humans are such stupid little creatures.
The delighted grin on Exio's face always gave Zelphine goosebumps. We are working on different options, Zelphine, Falza confirmed. As you know, we have many influential people on the ground floor to keep Earth preoccupied. As you know, we are working on many different planets at once. Lots of moving pieces and classes of Zargonians with different tastes. Zelphine knew this, but it still deflated him. I am growing tired of these games, Falza. Why don't we take over this planet with force? Zelphine urged. These people are primitive. It would be a very easy task. Why do you waste our time with such stupid questions? Falza scowled, slamming a tentacle on the table. Zelphine flinched, moving his seat a few inches back. I mean no disrespect. I'm just tired. I'd like to know a timeline of when I can return home. Home? Falza scoffed. Once the mission is complete, you can return home. Zelphine's blood boiled at his response. Short of aiming a laser beam at the human race, what else could he do? He was only one person. He believed he was responsible for the divide, the deaths, the riots. Eventually the civilization would come toppling down, one group of humans after the other. But how much longer would it take? It could be decades, maybe more. Maybe that's what the panel secretly wanted. Falza continued. You know how our people are, Zelphine. We are a very patient species. We would much rather orchestrate the internal destruction of a race, pulling on a few strings where needed, and swoop in once implosion is complete. Zelphine clenched his tentacles. He was on the verge of snapping. We are not a barbarian race. We are artists. He smiled. I suggest that you embrace the grind. We thank you for your service. With that remark, the boardroom doors opened up. See you next month, Falza said. Zelphine was ushered out of the boardroom by two Zargonian goons, their muscular tentacles pushing him towards the chambers. He was fuming. It was a hopeless predicament that he found himself in. As the doors opened, he looked at all of the Earthlings locked up behind bars. He had pity for them. Influential people on their planet now reduced to mere prisoners. Their weeping was useless, drowned out by the sounds of the spacecraft. I guess it could be worse, he thought. At least I'm not one of them. He reached a tentacle into one of the cells, placing it on top of the forehead of a man, balled up, cowering in the corner. He concentrated on every fiber of the man's being, every bit of matter that formed him. The man was blubbering something, though his mouth was sealed shut. Zelphine thought he resembled an animal on Earth, a pig of a man, frumpy and pink from the neck down. After a couple of seconds, the transformation was complete. He walked down the hall to the closet. He opened the door and began changing into his uniform. Staring at his reflection, he marveled at the transformation. He was a man in a navy blue suit, white dress shirt, and red tie. His orange face would need to be maintained back on Earth, same with his soft mat of hair, combed to the side. Rather weird rituals, Zelphine thought, but necessary for his role. In a moment, he will be beamed down to Palm Beach, Florida, to a very luxurious club. From there, he will telepathically connect the people of Zargon with his experience on Earth, broadcasting his every word, every movement, for their entertainment. He will let his anger out on the world. These days, on a golf ball, most likely on a beautiful resort. For now. Only for now. But before heading out, Zelphine took another moment to look at his reflection in the mirror. The face of one of the most powerful men in the world. Here goes nothing.